she's sick again. She's out this week, too.
I didn't know.
I had to force her to go to the doctor yesterday.
Okay, good evening and welcome to the Zoning Board of Appeals meeting for the town of Eastchester. Today is Tuesday, February 14th, 2023. We begin our meetings with the Pledge of Allegiance, so please rise.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, while everyone's coming to order, let me go over some of the ground rules, which I usually do at this point in the meeting. Firstly, we obey Robert's Rules of Parliamentary Order, which essentially means that action is taken based on motion and resolution and a vote, and parties, members, and the public get to speak when recognized by the chair. Secondly, our calendar's been out for a while now. As a general rule, we meet on the second Tuesday of every month. I mention this because there are the month of August we don't meet, and the July and December meetings are resolution only. So if the public is contemplating an application, you should check our calendar because, as new applicants know, as an essential term and condition among others, new applications are not decided upon first time heard. They're heard, the public generally has an opportunity to be heard, and then the board members have the opportunity to digest what they've heard and to deliberate individually on the applications. Also, no new correspondence is accepted after the close of any public hearing. So I mention this at every meeting because things were a little bit different during the pandemic, and this has been a while now, but I just want everyone to be clear that no new correspondence is accepted after a public hearing is closed. Okay? All right, so I make a motion to approve the minutes of the January 10th meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Cahalan, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Also, as a point of order, application 23-04, that's 28 Reynolds. That's been adjourned to March 14th, our next meeting, and it won't be heard tonight.
Application.
Okay. Now, we have three items on the calendar for resolution, and we have 5 new matters on the calendar. So I'm going to call the roll, and you let me know that you're ready to proceed. So, application 2305, 28 Howard Place. Applicant ready to proceed? Okay. This is number 2, application 2306, 18 Laurel. Applicant ready to proceed? Okay. 2307, 59 Anderson. Ready to proceed? Okay, number 4, 2308, 59 Overlook. Ready to proceed? And number 5, this is application 2309, 57 Locust. Thank you. Okay, so just so that the new applications know, your matter has been marked submitted, which means that all of the documents that have been submitted, including any emails, et cetera, are part of the public record. So you don't need to sit here and read your application. It's not going to hurt you, but it certainly is not going to help. So the board has read and in many instances reviewed and viewed the property. So I generally ask you to just briefly summarize, and then the board has an opportunity to ask questions or make comments. And then the public will have an opportunity to be heard. Okay, so let's get on to the resolutions. Number 1, I make a motion to approve application 22-48, that's 5 Nancy. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Cahalan, to the vote. Mr. Cahalan?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Nerzia?
Yes.
Mr. DeMarco?
Yes.
I vote yes. That application's been approved 5-0. Number 2, I make a motion to approve application 22-49. That's 120 Lakeshore Drive. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Cahalan. To the vote. Mr. Cahalan?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Nerzia?
Yes.
Mr. DeMarco?
Yes.
I vote yes. That application's been approved 5-0. Number 3, I make a motion to approve application 22-50. That's 14 Hilton. Is there a second to my motion?
Hilltop.
Hilltop.
Second.
Mr. Miller, to the vote. Mr. Cahalan?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Nerzia?
Yes.
Mr. DeMarco?
Yes.
I vote yes. That application's been approved 5-0, I should say. It's not a baseball game. 5-0. Okay. On to new business. This is application 2305, 28 Howard Avenue. If the applicant can come forward, state your name and address for the record, and if you have any visual aids you'd like to post, you may do so.
Margaret Scarpa, 28 Howard.
Talk to the podium, put it on the board, and
You know, I'll see if I can clip
Margaret
mine.
Scarpa, 28 Howard Avenue. Little studio.
Sorry, I'm gonna put this up so they can see it on the.
Oh, okay. Yes. Can he help me?
Gentlemen, would you mind if I help her out a little bit?
sure, just give us your name and address for record and help away.
Hello, my name is John DiGiacomo. She's looking for a variance for installing a pool. Traditionally, there's a 10-foot setback between the property lines, the dwelling, and the
Side
prop-
street.
and the sides. In the back of her home, she's looking for two feet for the size of the pool. Now, what's behind her in the backyard is nothing but a commercial parking lot. There is no other home, or it wouldn't impact anybody.
Okay,
That's what she's generally looking for, that variance, from 10 foot to 2.
okay. Mrs. Scarpa, would you like to add anything to that, or?
No.
Okay, you don't have to.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's just, I
No.
just need that little space. Because I'm on the corner, so I have
Yeah.
a different zone than everybody else.
Understood. Thank you. All right, to the board. Mr. Galen, any questions or comments?
Well, I mean, usually an 80% variance would disturb me, but I was at the site. I think this will be just, it's not imposing on anybody, so actually I'm okay with this one.
Okay, Mr. Miller?
No questions.
Mr. Nerzia?
Only comment is if we're going and getting a cup of coffee at Dunkin' Donuts and you get approved, have us stop by. But no other comments than that.
And if that doesn't work, the liquor store's right next
Oh,
door.
yeah, that too.
Mr. DeMarco?
No questions.
I don't have anything. I make a motion to open the public hearing in this matter. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Galen, all in favor?
Aye.
Would anyone from the public like to be heard on this application? Okay, seeing no one, I make a motion to close the public hearing on this matter. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Cahalan, all in favor?
Aye.
Sorry, I didn't say aye. Aye. Okay, back to the board. Mr. Cahalan, anything further?
No.
Mr. Miller?
No.
Mr. Nerzia?
Nothing.
Mr. DeMarco?
Nope.
All I have is that I've reviewed your application. You seem, to my satisfaction, have met the five-part test, and your commentary succinct and to the point that everything around you, this pool would be consistent with the entire neighborhood. So I make a motion to adjourn this application for resolution at the next meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Miller, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, this is application 23-06, 18 Laurel. And while you're setting up, this is an area variance for a proposed one-story rear addition. Name and address for the record and proceed.
Good evening. My name is James Hughes. I'm the owner of Under the Sun Improvements, and I'm representing Miss Kelly. And we're looking for a very small variance to build a nice little sunroom on her back deck for her. And the picture that, the brochure that's going around, it's the white one on the front page. It's it would be on your left on that front page. That's what it's going to look like.
Free commercial.
Free commercial, yes.
So would you like to add anything to your application, or this stands on its own?
No, if there's any questions.
No,
it's
of course.
just,
But, okay, just wanted to know if you wanted to say anything to
It's a
supplement.
three-season room.
Okay.
It's aluminum on the inside, it's vinyl on the outside. It will lend quite nicely to her style house.
Okay. Mr. Kaler, any questions or comments of the applicant?
No.
Mr. Miller?
No.
Mr. Nerzia?
No.
Mr. DeMarco?
No.
I don't have anything. I make a motion to open the public hearing on this matter. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Galen, all in favor?
Aye.
Would anyone from the public like to be heard on this application? Okay, seeing no one, I make a motion to close the public hearing. Is there a
Second.
Mr. Cahalan, all in favor? Aye. All right, back to the board, it's my obligation. Mr. Cahalan?
Nothing.
Mr. Miller?
Still none.
Mr. Nerzia?
Nothing.
Mr. DeMarco?
Nothing.
The only thing I have is that reviewed your application. I think you've answered the five-part test to my satisfaction. I'm going to make a motion to adjourn the application for resolution at the next meeting. Second?
Second.
Mr. Miller, all in favor? Aye. Thank you for your application.
One question, when is the next meeting?
Is it March 14th?
March 14th.
March 14th.
Okay, and I have one comment. My assistant, Andrea, wanted to thank you personally, Margaret.
Oh, thank you.
I think we take judicial notice that everyone loves Margaret.
No, it's okay.
Okay. Item number 3, this is application 23-07. This is 59 Anderson Avenue. Name and address for the record, and while you're getting set, this is a proposed one-story detached garage.
Good evening, Chairman, board members. My name is Damo Majorano from Community Designs and Engineering. On behalf of the owner applicant, Matthew Hedstrom, we are proposing a or call it a reconstruction of a detached garage in the rear yard of 59 Anderson Avenue. So basically, what exists today is a detached garage that is non-conforming. It's too close to the rear yard and also the side yard, which the side yard is facing Alita Street. It's a corner lot. That garage has been there for many, many years. It is structurally not sound. The foundation is crumbling. It doesn't have really sufficient foundation. The sill plates are rotted, and the garage is in, pretty bad shape. So basically, the applicant is looking to rebuild it similarly to where it is, but increase the size of it because it's a very small garage. I mean, it's just over 10 feet by 20-something feet. So the garage will extend into the rear yard of the applicant's property. The reason to keep the garage where it is, the non-conforming 2-foot setback to the rear yard, whereas 5 is required, is the applicant is trying to, maximize as much of a rear, yard space as he can, try to keep as much greenery and the patio there. So trying to create the least impact in the rear yard. We are going to shift the garage away from Alita Street so that we're conforming on that side. Not only, the driveway is very short, it'll allow for a car to park and they can walk around the car. But basically, yeah, it hasn't really affected for many years that garage has been that way with respect to the setbacks. And the adjacent home on Alita Street, which is really Grand Boulevard, at 60 Grand Boulevard, that house is positioned similar to ours where it's very close to Grand Boulevard. So the adjacent home is very far away from that garage. So there's no structure that's, right next to it. So that 2-foot setback is not anywhere near another structure.
Okay. Thank you for your presentation, the supplementation to the application as well. So to the board, Mr. Cahalan, any questions or comments?
Not right now.
Mr. Miller?
No.
By the way, Mr. Miller looks like a millennial, but he's not. And he's looking at your application. He's not placing bets on the game tonight. Mr. Nerzia?
No questions.
Mr. DeMarco?
No questions.
I don't have anything either. I make a motion to open the public hearing on this matter. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Cahalan, all in favor?
Aye.
Would anyone from the public like to be heard on this application? Okay, seeing no one, I make a motion to close the public hearing on this matter. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Miller, all in favor?
Aye.
Back to the board. Anything, Mr. Cahalan?
No.
Mr. Miller?
No.
Mr. Nerzia?
Nothing.
Mr. DeMarco?
No.
Reviewed the application. I think you've satisfied the 5-part test requirement, and I'm going to make a motion to adjourn this application for resolution at the next meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Cahalan, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next item is application 2308. This is 59 Overlook. In addition to the original submission, we have also received several emails which are now part of the public record, and one of them in particular I'm going to comment on now because there was some overture by the applicant to do some landscaping, which is, I guess we'll call it a supplementation to the application. So what I think I'd like to do is I'd ask the applicant, if you can, to summarize the changes in your application, because for the viewing public, this was a prior application that was denied, and you've now modified that application. And the reason why I'm talking about the landscaping is because I think it's an integral part of the, how it affects the character of the neighborhood. So I'm thinking that you should supplement the application with specifics on that, so that we don't open the public hearing now, because anyone commenting on the public is not going to have a full view of what you're doing, and I think it's an important improvement. So I'm going to ask you, if you can, to show, explain the differences in the application. Tell us a little bit about what they're proposing on the landscaping, and then I will take that from there, okay?
And then, just
go ahead.
very quickly, I just wanted to acknowledge that we did receive, and they were forwarded subsequent to the submission deadline, an email from neighbors at 63 Overlook Avenue, 2 emails from the applicant.
Yes, I've referred to them.
And a letter.
Yeah.
Oh, you did? I
They're
missed
all,
that.
they're all part of the record, yeah. I didn't read the specific names, but what I'm mentioning is that we've had several emails that are now all part of the public record. So,
Okay, yeah, not to.
Yes, please
again,
proceed.
So, yeah, so I guess this is not it's a, I guess, a relook into what
Yes.
we had said, similar condition where, long story short, the applicant is looking to try to keep this home and make it their forever home, and have it so that they could provide for their family and growing family. So in doing so, obviously the home right now, the problematic design flaw is that they have no usable, access to their rear yard. It's a corner lot. The rear yard is on overlook, and there's a garage right now that's blocking their view and access to that rear yard, and along, with some other, things. So basically what we did that is different from the last time, I just want to, kind of quickly go over what we did also, not only right now, but we looked into other design ideas and options. So one was, yes, the garage in the basement is a little problematic coming off a ridge overlook because the steepness of the driveway and the problematic to the high water table and water conditions. We looked at also a basement garage facing Ridge Street, where you would come off of Ridge and go into the basement that way and have a garage there. Because of the staircase structure, it'd be very, a really big expense to try to move that staircase. So we still would have to go into that setback if we were to have a garage in the basement there about 9 feet. So that would still sort of create a zoning variance on that exact area where we're looking for a variance, about 9 feet. And with the basement structure there, we couldn't just put a roof on that basement area because aesthetically it would look terrible. So we still would have to build a 1-story structure above that. So that, was problematic as well. Lastly, the detached garage in the rear yard, yes, it can work. Obviously, for the applicant, it defeats the whole purpose, because once we offset it and build a garage there, they basically have no more rear yard. It's just the garage and maybe a patio, right next to it, given, the additional additions that we're proposing with the home. So in this design scheme, basically what we're doing is removing the existing chimney. The chimney is not exactly 2 feet. It's around 1 foot 8 inches. So this will allow us to minimize as much as possible the extent of that variance. So the variance will come down to a 19-foot, 5-inch variance where 30-foot is required. The proposed garage will be 11 foot, 11 inches overall in depth. We also are going to 2x4 construction, obviously, really to just gain every possible inch possible that we can. The minimalist, I guess, that the applicant, what's in the drawing is an actual scaled car, so that you could see inside the garage, so that they could, 11 foot 6 inches, the inside dimension of that garage, so they could, possibly get a door open and use the garage as an actual garage like they, intend on doing. So again, the overall aesthetics of it, as minimal pitch roof as possible. The ridge height is about 14 feet, and that's where we're at as far as trying to minimize that setback from the front yard, which is really Ridge Street. And then, yeah, could I? Yeah, I was just going to go over some of the additional setbacks in the area to sort of show. how this.
These are all front yard setbacks, right?
These are all front yard setbacks, yes. So basically, to show how, this sort of condition does in fact, happen over and over again in the neighborhood. So if I go to the pictures here, so it would be sort of conforming to what is in the area. So basically, well, around the block on 19 Stebbins, this is a similar condition where it's a very long home. I mean, the house is over, I think, 78 foot in width, and that has a 10-foot setback to the front yard, which a variance was received. Just around the block on Overlook and Summit, that home, again, is just over 70 feet in overall width, and that has a 20-foot setback facing Summit. And that also has, well, that technically is a 2-story structure that is right here that received that variance for the 20-foot setback. Basically, those are just, some aerial adjacent homes in the area, but really adjacent to our home. Again, the homes neighboring this are existing non-conforming. They were built, years ago, but right next to us, most of these homes have about a 25-foot setback with a small 1-story that has 20-foot setback right next to us at 33 Ridge Street. 28 Ridge Street has a 23-foot, 6.6 setback. 34 Ridge Street, 20.4 foot. What is very, contingent to ours, 37 Ridge Street, which is across the street, has a 19.5 foot setback to the actual structure itself, the 2-story structure, which is very, comparable to ours. Across the street, 36 Ridge, there's no survey, they don't have a setback, but from the street, it's 32.2 feet, and ours is 37 feet. So we're much further away from the actual street as it is across the street on 36. Lastly, really quick, down the block, 45 Ridge Street has a 12.1 foot setback. Okay.
So there's structures in those setbacks.
I'm sorry?
Yes, the garage is in that setback. that you-
Well, those setbacks are actually to the house. Some are to the garage.
But we're
some-
talking about, you moved it 2 feet, basically, to get it down to 35, right?
Yes.
But you have a condition of a corner lot that your information doesn't account for in most of your pictures, that still is blocking a neighbor's view in a front yard setback. I mean, this is a front yard. And I understand, I have no problem with the house. The house is gorgeous. It's just that you're asking for the same thing. I think, Mr. Chairman, the landscape, the trees and stuff, they had no value to the neighborhood. To the only, so the neighbor doesn't see it, but then he doesn't see anything anyway. And that's my concern is, I don't want to be, sometimes we ask people to screen things for a reason. This, you're still going to have, even with a lower pitched roof, you're still imposing upon the neighborhood. You've got a beautiful home, and I understand you did everything you could, to try and fit the garage in, but sometimes in the forever home, you don't get everything. So, I still have, I'm not overly, enthused about the landscaping, tree stuff. That, to me, doesn't change the application that greatly. You go from 42 to 35, it's still the same problem. You're still putting a structure up in the front yard. That's, it's a big ask still, So that's, my concern is how this does impact the neighborhood. So, yeah, you want to talk about setbacks to the front of the house, he's spot on. But this is a very different condition, as I see it.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Cahalan.
Yeah, not to go back and forth, really just to, reiterate that, because it's a corner lot, this condition happens over and over again. So, it not being like the front, it's a little
It's
different.
not your typical lot.
Oh, excuse me.
No, it's all right.
The stenographer's not going to be able to get all this back and forth, so continue what you're saying.
Yeah, it's just not your typical lot where this condition happens, so it is very conforming to what happens in the area that your, corner lot can go into that setback, time and time again.
Okay. Anything further, Mr. Cahalan, in response to that?
Not right now.
Okay. Mr. Miller?
No.
Mr. Nersia?
Yeah, I have a question, but it's actually more for Margaret first, I suppose. This is a little confusing because the side yard is the front yard for zoning purposes, but where that garage is, if the applicant wanted to put a shed there, would that be permitted?
Sheds are not permitted in the front yard.
Because that would be deemed the front yard.
Yeah. But garages are permitted. under these circumstances, yeah.
Yeah, the-
Attached garages,
Yeah, the
yeah.
reason I asked is that the neighbor at Ridge, who's obviously opposed to this, his concern was that it would be blocking the view from his sunroom. So I just wanted to confirm that you couldn't do away with the garage and put a shed. In essence, it would probably be somewhat of the same height, but you're not allowed to do that. So you couldn't go down that path if you just wanted the shed for storage.
That's correct, those are
I just wanted to clarify that. I don't have any
rear
other
yard
questions.
only.
Mr. DeMarco?
No questions.
Okay. So having heard from the board, my decision on this is that an application like this, with some complexities to it, should be heard with all of the moving parts to it at once. And the part of the application where there's reference in the email to landscaping is an integral part, in my opinion, to the application and the public being able to comment. So I'm going to ask the applicant to explain it a little bit, but I am, unless I have something more specific, I think I'm going to make a motion to adjourn so that that can be submitted and then the public can be heard. And I think the board will have a fuller view of what this is going to look like. So please.
Yeah, so I think the applicant was open to providing additional screening along the property line with evergreens at a certain height, further more so to the corner of the garage.
Right. Okay, so
That sort of blockage from the neighbor. You know.
I'm going to ask the applicant then to submit prior to Mrs. Yuli the deadline for submissions for the next meeting, specifics about this.
Sure.
Exact, because frequently, when there's landscaping that's part of an application, if an application's approved, the applications are conditional. So on certain aspects of the application being carried out through building and planning, et cetera. So I'm going to make a motion to adjourn the application for submission of the landscaping plan to the next meeting. Is there a second?
Hold on, Mr. Chairman.
Please.
I would add that I would like the full landscaping plan then.
Well, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Was
You-
that
you
not
were just
clear?
asking- No, you were asking for the trees.
No, I'm talking about the full landscaping
Okay,
plan.
I would like to see the full landscaping
yeah.
plan.
Okay, that's what I am intending on having you do. Okay, so it'll be the full landscaping plan submitted prior to the submission deadline, and then we will further the application, and provided everything is submitted and understandable, the public will have an opportunity to be heard not only on the application as it's been amended from the prior, but also the full application as it's supplemented. So is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Galen, all in favor? Aye. Okay.
Excuse me, the
Counselor?
public hearing is open?
Public hearing was not
You
open.
never opened it.
That's
No.
for next time?
Correct. The reason why is the public wouldn't have an opportunity to fully comment without the application being fully submitted. So, thank you, and we will await your submission, and we'll see you at the next meeting on that application. Last item tonight is application 23-09, 57 Locust Avenue.
Okay. Good evening again. Dal Maiorano, Community Designs and Engineering. On behalf of the owner, Janice Crick, we are proposing additions and alterations to 57, I'm getting my addresses mixed up because my
This is
head is
Locust now.
spinning. Locust, 57 Locust. So basically what the applicant is looking to do is, it's a cape right now. There's very minimal space in the second floor of the home, 2 bedrooms, very small, shallow roofs. So they want to try to extend off of the footprint of the home on the outside. So if you look on the right, that's the existing home, your basic cape-style home, and, the top right is what the proposed, front elevation would be. We're basically extending off of the outside walls. What happens, in this case, in an R5 zoning district, the right side, well, both side yards, you need 9 foot and 8 foot. In this case, it's very minimal, but we have 8.69 feet instead of our 9 foot, and we're about a half an inch off on the right side, 7.95. So obviously, we don't want to, offset the second floor addition, 3 inches or so. That would, really be a little problematic. So we're asking for a variance for this case. What very quickly in the design of it, just to give an idea, we did switch the roof so that it, you know, the opposite ridge, it slopes away from the neighbor, so away from that sort of variance setback. So the ridge is, you know, right, instead of front to back, side to side.
You're basically keeping the same setbacks.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's minimal, but it doesn't
I
meet
understand.
zoning.
Thank you for your presentation. Mr. Callen, anything
No.
further? Okay. Mr. Miller?
None.
Nersia?
Nothing.
Mr. Marco?
Nothing.
I don't have anything at this time. I make a motion to open this matter to the public for a public hearing. Is there a second?
Second?
Mr. Callen, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Would anyone from the public like to be heard on this application? Okay, seeing no one, I make a motion to close the public hearing on this matter. Is there a second?
Second?
Mr. Cahalan, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, back to the board. Mr. Cahalan?
I got nothing.
Mr. Miller?
Nope.
Mr. Nersia?
Nothing.
Mr. Marco?
Nothing.
Okay, I've reviewed your application. It's thorough to the point. I think you've clearly met the five-part test. So I'm going to make an application to adjourn. I'm going to make a motion to adjourn your application for resolution at the next meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Miller, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Right.
Okay, I have one more item of business, and that's a motion to adjourn the February ZBA meeting. The next meeting is going to be March 14th, is scheduled to be March 14, 2023. There was a second to that motion.
Second.
Mr. Miller, all in favor?
Aye.
Good night.